Welcome to BTEC Revision. In today's lesson, we're looking at radians, arcs, and sectors. By the end, we will be able to calculate angles in the units of radians and calculate arc lengths and sector areas. Let's start by looking at what a radian is. A radian is the angle subtended by an arc of a circle whose length is equal to the radius. What this means is, if we have a radius inside of a circle and a length which is curved, this is called an arc length. When this arc length is equal to the radius, then the angle created is equal to 1 radian. We can work out the number of radians in a circle by taking the circumference, which is equal to 2 pi r, and dividing it by r, which is going to be equal to 2 pi. This means there are 2 pi radians in one circle, and we know this is equal to 360 degrees. So therefore, we can say that 2 pi radians is equal to 360 degrees. This is the key that we can use in order to convert degrees to radians and vice versa. There are common angles that you need to be aware of. So we know that 360 degrees is 2 pi radians, so we can divide by 2 and we can work out 180 degrees. That's going to be equal to pi radians. And then we can divide by 2 again. That means 90 degrees is equal to pi over 2 radians. And then dividing by 2 again, we have 45 degrees is equal to pi over 4 radians. Pi is approximately 6.28 because 2 times 3.14 is 6.28. We need to know how to convert from degrees into radians and vice versa. In order to convert from degrees into radians, you will have to multiply by pi divided by 180. And to convert back, you would have to divide by pi over 180. Let's take a known example. For example, let's take 90 degrees. We know that's pi over 2. So if we do the conversion, we'll multiply by pi over 180 degrees. And in the calculator, that will give us pi over 2. So we know this is correct. Now let's look at a conversion from radians into degrees. Let's take pi over 4 and we will divide by pi over 180. And in the calculator, that will give us 45 degrees. And we know this is correct. Now pause the video here and attempt these questions. For the first question, we multiply by pi divided by 180 degrees, and that's equal to pi over 180 radians. For the second question, we multiply by pi divided by 180, and it's equal to negative pi over 12 radians. The second question, we do the same, multiply by pi divided by 180, and that's equal to 35 pi divided by 9. Question 4, we divide by pi over 180, so that's equal to 180 degrees. For question 5, we divide by pi over 180, and that's equal to 270 degrees. One thing to note is when dividing by pi over 180 in your calculator, make sure you put a bracket. Question number 6, we would divide by pi over 180, and it's going to be equal to 40.1 degrees to 3 significant figures. Have you ever thought about calculating the area of a pizza slice to see if you've got a fair share or the length of the pizza's crust? This shape over here is called a sector. And this is the angle that is created. And to calculate the area of this sector, we would have to use this equation. The area of a sector is equal to a half multiplied by the radius squared multiplied by the angle, which has to be measured in radians. The unit of the area is going to be meters squared. This line here is called an arc length because it's a length of line that is curving, and we can calculate this using the equation S is equal to the radius times the angle, which also needs to be measured in radians. And the length of the arc is measured in meters. Let's take this example. The radius of this sector of a circle is 10 centimeters, and the angle subtended is 45 degrees. Calculate the arc length and the area of the sector. The first thing we should note is that the units need to be converted. We know centimeter, there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter, so therefore we would need to divide this number by 100 to get meters, and that's going to be equal to 0.1 meters. The next thing we should know is that the angle is in degrees. So this needs to be converted into radians. And we know from our table, 45 degrees is equal to pi over 4 radians. Let's start by working out the arc length. We know that the arc length is equal to the radius multiplied by the angle. Now we know the radius is 0.1, and we can multiply that with the angle, which is pi over 4. So that's equal to 78.5 millimeters. Next, we can work out the area of the sector. A equals a half r squared theta, and that's equal to 1/2 times 0.1 squared times pi over 4. And that's equal to 0.00393 meters squared. Now pause the video here and attempt this exam question. The first thing we should do is create a quick sketch of a diagram. And we can see here we have an angle of 30 degrees and the radius is 15 centimeters. And the second thing we should know is we need to convert the units. So 30 degrees times pi over 180 is equal to pi over 6 radians. And the radius is equal to, if you divide 15 centimeters by 100, we will get 0.15 meters. Now we can plug this into our equation. Area is equal to a half r squared theta, and that's equal to a half times the radius of 0.15 squared times pi over 6, and that's equal to 5.89 times 10 to the power of minus 3 meters squared. And that's the end of the lesson. If you would like to boost your grades and try some quiz questions, why don't you visit us at btecrevision.com. See you next time.